Have you ever noticed how some people hold power over you without saying a word? They don't demand. They don't explain. They simply step back. And suddenly, you feel their absence more than you ever felt their presence. It's not manipulation. It's what Ibn Arabi called the withdrawal of light. When someone stops feeding your chaos, your world begins to tilt. We live surrounded by invisible transactions. Every conversation, every favor, every time you show up when you'd rather disappear, you're handing something over. Not money, not time. Something deeper. Your presence. Your attention. Your life force. And here's the strange part. Most of the time, you don't even notice it's happening. Ibn Arabi wrote about this centuries ago. He spoke of how the soul can become dispersed, scattered across 100 different hands until there's barely anything left for yourself. He called it the fragmentation of essence. You wake up tired, even after sleeping. You check your phone and feel a weight in your chest. Certain names make your stomach drop. Certain conversations drain you before they even begin. This isn't sensitivity. This isn't weakness. This is your system recognizing something your mind hasn't admitted yet. You've been leaking. Energy doesn't disappear. It transfers. And there are people in your life, some you love, some you barely know, who have learned, consciously or not, how to pull from you without ever asking permission. They don't do it with force. They do it with expectation, with patterns, with the silent agreement that you'll always be there, always responding, always available. Think about the last time someone called and you answered, even though every part of you wanted to let it ring. Think about the last time you said yes when your entire body was screaming no. That moment, that split second where you override yourself, that's where the leak begins. You betray your own boundary before anyone else does. And once people learn that pattern, once they see that you'll bend, they stop asking if you're okay with it. They just assume. Ibn Arabi described this as living in reaction rather than presence. When you react, you're not choosing. You're responding to the pull of someone else's need, someone else's expectation, someone else's discomfort. And the more you react, the less of you remains. You become a reflex, a resource, a role in someone else's story, but not a person in your own. There's a quiet violence in being too available. Because when people know you'll always show up, they stop valuing the fact that you did. Your presence becomes background noise, expected, unnoticed, until the moment you're not there. Then suddenly, the questions come. Where were you? Why didn't you answer? Are you okay? But the real question underneath is, why aren't you playing your part? This is the trap. You are conditioned to believe that love is measured by availability. That connection requires constant accessibility. That if you pull back, even for a moment, you're being cold, distant, selfish. But Ibn Arabi knew better. He said that presence without boundaries is not generosity. It's self-erasure. Most of us learned early that our worth was tied to what we could provide. The child who stays quiet to keep peace. The teenager who absorbs everyone's problems to feel needed. The adult who never says no because rejection once felt like annihilation. These patterns don't disappear. They just get more sophisticated. You stop hearing the yes leave your mouth. It becomes automatic. And the people around you, they didn't set out to drain you. Most of them don't even know they're doing it. They just learned that when they reach, you respond. When they pull, you come. When they need, you give. It's a dance you both know by heart. Except you're the only one getting tired. Ibn Arabi spoke of something he called the mask of usefulness. It's the version of yourself you present to the world, not because it's true, but because it's safe. The helpful one, the reliable one, the one who never complains. And over time, that mask becomes so familiar that even you forget it's there. You start to believe that your value lies in what you do for others, not in who you are beneath it all. But here's what happens when you live behind that mask for too long. People stop seeing you. They see the function you serve, the problem solver, the shoulder to cry on, the one who always understands. And when you're tired, when you're breaking, when you need someone to see you, they don't. Because you trained them not to. You taught them that you don't need anything, that you're fine, that you'll handle it, and then one day, you're not fine. You're empty, hollowed out. And the loneliest thing in the world is being surrounded by people who love what you give them, but have no idea who you are. This is where Ibn Arabi's teaching becomes essential. He said that the soul knows when it's being honored and when it's being used. Your body knows. That tightness in your chest when certain people call. That exhaustion after certain conversations. That feeling of being drained even when nothing particularly hard was said. These aren't random. These are signals. Your system is trying to tell you something your mind keeps ignoring. You've been taught to override these signals, to push through, to be strong, to not make things awkward. But every time you silence that inner voice, every time you show up when your soul is begging you to rest, you fracture a little more. Not visibly, not dramatically, just quietly. A slow dissolution of self. Ibn Arabi warned that energy, once given to the wrong places, doesn't return easily. It lingers where you left it, in conversations that went nowhere, in people who took but never gave back, in situations that demanded your presence but offered nothing in return. And the more you scatter yourself, the harder it becomes to feel whole. There's a moment that comes for everyone. The moment when you realize you've been performing, not maliciously, not consciously, but performing nonetheless, playing a role that was never really yours. And the exhaustion you feel isn't from life itself. It's from living a life that doesn't belong to you. Some people will notice when you stop, when you don't answer as quickly, when you're not as available, when your energy isn't as freely given. And their response will tell you everything. Some will adjust. They'll respect the boundary. They'll ask if you're okay and actually wait for the answer. But others will push back. They'll call you different, changed, distant, because what they're really saying is, you're not who I needed you to be anymore. And that's the hardest part, realizing that some relationships were never about you. They were about the role you played, the service you provided, the emotional labor you offered without ever being asked if you had it to give. Ibn Arabi called this the illusion of closeness. It feels like connection, but it's really just utility dressed up as love. When you begin to pull back, when you start protecting your energy, you'll feel guilt. It will rise up like a wave. You'll question yourself. Am I being selfish? Am I overreacting? Am I pushing people away? But underneath that guilt is something older, something deeper. The belief that your needs don't matter as much as everyone else's. That peace is something you earn by sacrificing yourself. That rest is selfish unless you're completely broken first. Ibn Arabi would tell you that this belief is a lie so deeply embedded that it feels like truth. But your exhaustion is not a virtue. Your depletion is not devotion. And the people who truly see you will never ask you to disappear in order to love them. There's a kind of power that emerges when you stop being so available. Not the loud, forceful kind, but a quiet, steady power. The power of someone who knows their worth isn't tied to their usefulness, who understands that silence can say more than 1,000 explanations, who realizes that pulling back isn't cruelty, it's clarity. When you stop feeding chaos, chaos stops feeding on you. When you stop answering every call, people start valuing the times you do. When you stop performing, the ones who love the real you will stay. And the ones who don't will reveal themselves by leaving. Ibn Arabi said that the soul returns to itself through withdrawal. Not isolation, not bitterness, but a conscious return to center. A reclaiming of what was given away too freely. A remembering of who you are when no one needs anything from you. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop caring at the expense of yourself. It means you learn to feel the difference between genuine connection and energetic extraction. It means you notice when you're giving from fullness versus giving from emptiness. And you honor that difference. The people who drain you rarely do it with malice. They do it because you let them. Because you showed up every time. Because you never said stop. Because you absorbed their chaos so they didn't have to sit with it. And in doing that, you taught them that your energy was theirs to take. But here's the shift. The moment you stop, the pattern breaks. The dynamic collapses. And what's left is the truth. Either a relationship that can exist without you disappearing into it, or the realization that it was never a relationship at all. It was a transaction. And you were paying with pieces of yourself. Ibn Arabi knew that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone has earned the right to your time, your attention, your presence. And withholding it isn't coldness. It's discernment. It's understanding that your energy is sacred, that your peace is not negotiable, that your life force is not a resource for anyone who happens to ask. When you finally step back, when you reclaim what's yours, something inside you begins to return. Not all at once, but slowly, like a tide that's been out for too long. You start to feel like yourself again. Not the version you perform, but the one underneath. The one who exists even when no one's watching. Even when no one needs anything. And that version of you, the real one, has been waiting, patient, quiet, hoping you'd remember. Hoping you'd come back. And when you do, when you finally stop scattering yourself across 100 different places, you realize something Ibn Arabi tried to tell us all along. You are never meant to be endlessly available. You are meant to be whole.